So if you're doing an HDR and you have your plus 1.3 normal exposure and your minus 1.3, you can select all of them in Bridge, go to Tools, Photoshop, and merge to HDR Pro. But sometimes I shoot auto exposure bracketing so that I can composite them in Photoshop. So I may select those, go to Tools, Photoshop, load files into Photoshop layers. So now I have 3 layers. Let me reset. Got this layer here. So I have the underexposed, the overexposed, the normal exposed, and then the overexposed. Under, normal, over. So if I want to get that sign in, where do I find out where that sign lives? I'm going to turn that off for now. So the sign lives in this layer, Street C. So I select Street B and add a layer mask. Grab the brush, and just edit parts I want in. Right, so you can see it's just that little sign. I don't really need anything else from that layer. That was most of the information. Maybe a little bit on the street here. So I'll make the brush a little larger, take the opacity down, and bring in a little bit of that street. Now the top one gives me detail in the car. So I'm going to add a layer mask, and I'm going to invert it. So I'm going to work the other way. So by inverting it, it's not going to show anything. And then using white in the foreground, I can add in some of the values and luminosity from this overexposed. And I may just take it down a little bit. Kind of blend it in so the lighting looks good. And then, although it's harder to see on the projector than it is on my computer, you have part of this layer and part of this layer showing through. So this is more like what I saw. Now, if you're seeing a lot of brush strokes on your layer mask, you can select your layer mask, go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And what that will do, let's see if we go over, instead of it being very sharp brush strokes, you can blur that out. So it'll give you a smoother transition. Okay? You can also select this thumbnail and decrease the density a little to give you an even better and more consistent blend. So this is how I use the idea of HDR in creating a higher dynamic range and layer masks to composite 3 to 5 exposures. The important thing is that your camera doesn't move.